o'clock. I call City of Cumming Planning and Zoning meeting to order. Item number 2, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Move to second, everybody vote, carries unanimous. Item number 3, do I have a motion to approve the minutes September 19th, 2017 meeting?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Motion second, everybody vote, carries unanimous. Item number 4, old business. A, Borton Gober conditional use permit number 2017266. I have a motion to open public hearing.
Motion to open hearing.
Second.
Everybody vote, carries. All right, somebody want to come up and tell us what we're gonna do here? If you will, please state your name and all.
Hi, I'm Chuck Gober,
Right?
and Mary Ann and I are partners, own the land together over there on the old Merritt property by the old hospital. And we want to build basically a building of about 11,000 square feet, 4 units in there. And it's similar to the one that's kind of behind the Chamber of Commerce, about 300 feet away on Tolbert Street. Gives you kind of that kind of feel. It's got the metal, the metal building with the facade, wrapped facade on the front. And I'm in landscaping also, so, in my mind, I'm thinking we'll build the building and put a 30-gallon trees down the sides and maybe a 10-foot wrap with stone with a porch on the front to kind of mimic the attorney's office next door to give it a feel of at least that, And we're doing it, I guess, basically because I think the city would be a good place to put a building that does a little bit of business and a little bit of small, maybe shipping and packaging. Maybe somebody wants to sell cars out of the back, or maybe toy cars or something like that, and boxes and things like that. You just never know. But I think that we have a lot of just basic buildings that are rented out, like Mary Alice Park, for instance, and all those are basically for small businesses that can run paperwork, but this will be a little bit of both. And I think it'll look good at that, sitting in that location right there on Kelly Mill. I think, we'll have the front entrance with the handicap coming up both sides if we need to do that, and then have the sides will be sodded with sprinkler system. And I think Scott had mentioned to us or someone about possibly changing the back for a little bit of buffer on the back for some grass buffer instead of having it connect to the street, and have the entrance on both sides of the rear of the property. I think aesthetically it'll look pleasing. We considered putting a more stonework, I guess, all over the building to make it look like it would be okay there. But I think if we did a darker color in the particular metal on the sides, and we put the 6 to 7 foot caliper trees down the sides, it'll look pretty nice, if we didn't do a light color. So we're thinking a dark gray family or a dark brown family on the sides, and then with stone in the front, with columns on the front, with outdoor landscape lighting on the trees and throughout the property. So that's kind of what we're thinking. And each building will be around 2,600 square feet for each pod. And the office about 600 or 700 square feet. The warehouse is about 1,900 to 2,000 square feet, probably, give or take. So that's kind of where we're at.
All right.
We like to start on it as soon as we, get approval, and have it done maybe before spring if we could. So.
All right. Thank you. We may have some questions in a minute, but thank you for that.
Oh, I stay right here. Okay.
No, you good.
Okay, I'm done. Okay.
Does anybody here want to speak against this proposal, or anybody else got anything to say? All right, any questions from the board?
No, sir.
Okay, do I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion second, everybody vote. Motion closed. Thank you. All right, Scott, have we got a staff report on this?
Yes, sir, we do. It's in your packets. You'll review it. I'll be happy to like to read it into the record. The property owner has made application to the proper authorities for a conditional use permit to operate a contractor's establishment within the central business district of the city of Cumming. The property is currently vacant and is bounded on the east by a recently constructed office professional, on the west by existing single-family residential and institutional to the north. As Mr. Gober said, the building will be divided into 4 units, each with approximately 770 square feet of office in the front facing Kelly Mill Road, and 1,940 square feet warehouse in the rear facing Samaritan, totaling approximately 10,840 square feet. Off-street parking will be provided in front of each office unit and behind the warehouse space with ingress egress from Ambulance, Pine, and Samaritan Drives. Staff's reviewed this CUP application and finds it consistent with the CBD zoning future land use plan designation for the property as public institutional. Staff recommends approval of the CUP with the following 4 conditions. Number 1, the building exterior must be brick on all 4 sides. Number 2, the development will include a minimum of 14 9 by 18 perpendicular parking spaces, including 2 handicap accessible spaces to be located in front of the building. Minimum of 3 9 by 18 parking spaces will be located behind the building. Condition number 3, a rolled curb and gutter will be installed along the entire width of the heavy-duty paving at the rear of the property to be approved by the Planning and Zoning Department. And condition number 4, the development will include a minimum 15-foot landscape strip in front of the building and 10-foot landscape strips on each side of the building to be approved by the Planning and Zoning Department. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have on this.
Any questions from the board? I'll make a motion. We send the right number here, go back to my front page. Conditional use permit number 2017266 forward to the board for approval with the conditions read by Scott in the zoning report, changing condition number 3 to read that a 10-foot minimum landscape strip approved by the Planning and Zoning Department shall be planted along the rear of the property. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, everybody vote. Carries unanimous. Thank you. All right. Item number 5, new business. Georgia Mountain gonna give us a report on our Atlanta Road Corridor study update. Guys, y'all wanna come up and tell us about it?
Well, as you recall, we've been meeting on this every year.
Yeah.
This is the final report.
All right, let me get some of this out of the way. Go ahead. Y'all haven't seen any money? Found that grant yet, pay for it?
That is actually one of the things in the report that we do detail is economic development incentives.
Good.
So the idea is Caleb's got the corridor study here up, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the final report first. I told Scott tomorrow we will send electronic versions of the report and of the rendering board, so you'll have an electronic version. But I'll walk you through the report, kind of tell you some of our findings, and then Caleb is going to go through. We found 8 focus areas along the Atlanta Highway corridor that we focused on. He's going to walk you through some of the before and afters. So page 3, the project scope, methodology, and focus areas. As you all know, we've been working on this project this past year, looking at this area and trying to figure out what kind of parameters we can do to improve the corridor. One thing we noticed was a number of gaps in sidewalk connectivity. So you'll notice on the rendering board and in your first page of the 11 by 17, the yellow lines denote sidewalks. So wherever there are gaps, that's to where there's actually a lack of sidewalks, and typically you'll see paths through the grass and such. We've also highlighted a potential gateway down at the bottom with the 4 circles, kind of as a welcome to Cumming signage that could also promote local events. The purple spots on the map are historic properties, things that you could utilize for either economic development. One of them is number 6, is actually a restaurant right now currently. We've also highlighted in orange infill and redevelopment opportunities, things that we saw that were vacant. And then, of course, the blue is the actual overlay corridor, the yellows, the sidewalks, and then the triangles actually point you into the direction that you're looking at, that view shed. So we look to see what we could do to improve the corridor to make it more aesthetically pleasing, more safe to walk upon, and just to be a more walkable environment, and then kind of ultimately propel more economic development. Page 4 shows that beginning map to where we looked at the blue outline for the corridor and the signage, the sidewalks. And then pages 5 through 12 really get into some of the conditions that we saw. Just kind of, if you were new to Cumming and you were walking down Atlanta Highway, what would you see? So we did kind of some sample visual images to showcase what you see. Page 13 through